peace is abundant. It's connected to so much depth.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking about money, which everybody wants, peace, I say that's the number one authority. Where there's peace, there's expansion, there's so much vision there, and we're able to connect to our highest authority in that peace. Because when we're muddled and confused and struggling, we're not in that highest form of peace. But if I'm there, I'm my own authority, and money's going to follow one thing: authority. Does it follow peace? Absolutely. Does it follow expansion? Absolutely. If I'm over here struggling with all and negotiating with the airlines and it's going to trickle in. It's never going to bring abundance. So how can I release that and release it quickly? And where are my attachments? Doesn't mean I'm not going to be sad about some things they took. It isn't my identity. It isn't who I am. And I have to release it and even take it a step further, visualize it, them wearing those. And maybe they sell them and somebody is, celebrating and wearing them, never knowing where they came from. And the energy attached to them is powerful.
Welcome back to the Anniston Riekstins Show. I am so excited you're here. You're in for a good one. We have none other than the Dana Grant here on the show today. Thank you so much, Dana.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. We just had a pre-conversation of our alignment, our truth. I love you, Anniston. I've loved you from the moment I met you. I saw like a kaboom in your life, and I'm like, do I share that with her? And I think I did. Like, oh man, you got big things coming, girl. Big, 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 big. And I witnessed that, and oh, what a joy to be witnessing your everything. I love it.
Well, I would say the same about you. You were so supportive of me. Last year we met, and it was right around when my book was coming out. And I was so taken by your authenticity, by your just love and passion for supporting women, even those you didn't really know very well. I mean, you and I didn't met. You think you met Rudy, and then through Rudy we met. And then I just want you to know that I saw that. And I think that when you see that demonstrated in other women, it really not only encourages you, but gives you permission to do the same and in your own authentic way. So I am so excited about today because I have been obsessing over your book. I love your book. And I am so aligned with everything that's in your book and all the ways that you perceive these universal laws, which will be new for a lot of people. So I really want to spend some time digging into the book. But before we do that, I'm curious, and I know that for those of you that haven't met Dana, you will have a chance, and through this interview, you're going to get to know her. But I'm curious, why this specific book and why now? Because I'm sure you're like me. I bet you had a lot of ideas. I bet you've had lots of downloads where you're like, oh, that'd be a great book. That'd be a great book. So why this book?
No one's asked me that question yet, and I've been on some big shows. I'm telling you, no one's asked that. But I'm going to illuminate. If people are looking the people that are not, if they're on a podcast and they're not on YouTube, they can't see it. But what I just showed you was trust the process behind me, an illuminated sign. That was going to be the name of the book, and everywhere was trust the process. And it was my version, 4 years of trusting the process, working through betrayal, trauma, and it just kept coming. And I recognized something bigger in my life happening. And in order to address the expansion, I had to address the loss and hold space for both. With the truth within the lie is the lie that I told myself for many years and that we tell ourselves every day, and what the truth really is and what that looked like in versions of the story. This book was never meant to be universal laws. I never considered writing about universal laws or about 14 mini stories of my life. The next book that I just got signed for is a huge book it's like the story behind the story. And if you think these stories are big, I'll blow you out of the water. If you don't think you can do something, I'm going to tell you can at any age, at any pace. I don't care what your life looks like or where it went. You can overcome it if you choose to. Because this book, I'm like, I didn't plan on writing any of that. But I did. Because it was very guided and I was very connected, to God, to source. And that information just came.
Yeah.
How can I deny that? How can I believe and trust and then deny the information that's given to me?
Yeah. Well, I find even the title of it is disruptive in its own way because So many of us are like, I don't want to be lied to. I just want truth. I just want truth. But the greatest truth you will ever discover is your own, right? And the truth will set you free. And it starts with you, right? Like that we lie to ourselves way before anyone else has an opportunity to lie to us.
But it's the most difficult thing anyone's ever going to do is to get honest and true with what they've done to protect themselves in this world, which if they're going to be honest, they're going to have to surrender a universal law of sacrifice. They're going to have to give up a version of themselves that has protected them, has given them a reputation or an image. They're attached to it somehow. And they're going to have to sacrifice that. And they're going to have to say, this is my truth now. And I don't know what this means or where I'm going to show up or where that's going to go. And have no attachment to it. Oh, looks like Anniston, you might have frozen.
Oh, no. Am I still here?
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
a little bit further.
okay.
Yeah, a little bit further on my screen. I don't know if I'm
That's fine. Are you back?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just as little on your end, it's a little bit well, you're still frozen.
This body. Shoot.
Yeah. Okay, you're back.
Oh.
You're back. You're back.
Yeah, it says my internet connection is unstable. That's weird. I have like 5 bars, but it's okay. I'll tell we got edit on
energy going on. It makes sense to me.
You know what? That's probably exactly what
that we're talking about the truth and sacrificing, and energetic field comes in and says, wait a minute. Do we want everyone to know that? Because what would happen in this magnetic field that we've created where we show up? The trigger word last year was trauma. This year it's authenticity. What would happen if we just pulled that curtain back and said, man, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. I'm not going to overthink it, overcreate it. I'm just going to show up. This is what feels real. I'm going to stay out of everyone else's energetic fields. This is my lane. And I'm going to do 1% of everything that I need to do every day and watch that expand.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, this is an interesting gateway into my first question or my first call out from your book. So I love how you laid out the book. I love how I got to learn so much about you and learn from you through your stories, which I think was brilliant. But in chapter 6, which is the law of awakening, right? You say, I flew off a yoga mat during my first meditation and said, I don't think I'm a Republican. And I literally
laughed about that when I read it happened.
Because I have gone through my own evolutionary journey of my truth, of questioning truth. And I really went through my deep questioning, especially as it related to religion and spirituality early in my 20s. But what has been an ongoing theme is this, okay, so you first start to question your truth, to align with your truth, but then it's the courage to actually be fully expressive, right? Be willing, regardless of what room you're in.
To even share that. Yeah. I mean, I was in my 30s, and at that time, I'm a top bipartisan. I am a Republican business lobbyist. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm lobbying the Ways and Means Committee. I mean, I am literally pro-business, which is very conservative. I come out of a John Birch Society family. I am doing and soldiering exactly what they anticipated and expected of me. And are you happy with me now kind of thing. I never even considered what I wanted to do in this world. If I did, I probably would have been a history professor, or maybe doing what I'm doing now. I had a love for history. I had a love for law, and I think going into lobbying was the closest I got to writing legislation and law. So that being said, I did what made people happy. That awakening was, when I said it, and then I quickly said, and I think there's an earthquake, and there was a huge, and they laughed and said, they dismissed it all. They said she's from California, and I'm sure she always thinks earthquakes are happening. The Space Needle cracked. I was up in Victoria, Canada. It was a huge earthquake, and I did feel it. No one else felt it. So there was my first, there's something wrong with me kind of thing, because I see and feel fault lines, and I feel earthquakes, and when no one else feels them, but that awakening was huge, because at that it didn't have anything to do with politics. It had everything to do with I never recognized that I didn't choose. That I did what made people happy. Ancestors, grandmother, mother, I couldn't even imagine showing up, making them unhappy. They were very, very boisterous and bold women. I'm not even sure I'd be welcome in the house if I brought a Democrat in the house at that time.
Mhm.
So I did what I was taught to do. And that awakening was I was so out of alignment with who I was. And that was my first, because that was my job, and I was getting very, very sick. I had
Mhm.
irretractable migraines. I mean, that means nonstop vomiting migraines that were so debilitating. I was in the hospital for a decade for 10 days a month. They didn't know what to do with me. I'm at the best research centers. I'm up in Victoria, Canada at an elective, you know, I guess it would be experimental at the time, but it was very much out there. The theories, they were doing stretch, and they were doing all kinds of things to shake the energy out of your body, acupuncture, just alternative. I was doing alternative medicine. I was looking for ways to try to ease what was going on. And yeah, that was a good question, because that was my first,
The
and I
first
and I ignored it because I
Well,
could.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I took that and ran with it, there'd be no job, be no career. What am I going to do? But I was so sick I couldn't go back anyway. I never went back to doing that because I physically was never allowed to.
Yeah.
I was so sick that plane tickets, they just said, when you're well, you go 6 weeks of being well. That flight I never took.
Yeah. Alignment really is, I mean, I think if we could just see, if all of us had the gift of all of a sudden being able to see our fields, be able to see where the blocks were. I am also a Louise Hay huge fan. She was a gateway for me. Dr. Wayne Dyer was a big gateway for me, and Louise Hay. And yeah,
And look at it, heal your body right now. Yeah.
heal your body. Um, and
For
and
all of it.
and it was my first understanding of truly the connection. Like we are multidimensional beings, meaning like we are our emotional bodies and our mental bodies and our physical. They're all integrated, right? So
Yeah.
us being out of our integrity with our own truth, meaning then you're disconnected from your truth. So your life that you're creating thus is going to be disconnected from your truth. You actually say the law of aligned action states that taking actions that resonate with your true authentic self leads to a sense of fulfillment and purpose. If you aren't clear on who you are, everything you connect to is going to be off to. And if you're off to, by just one single degree, you can end up miles off course.
Actually 360 miles off course. I'm in a little airplane. I'm off 1 degree.
Yeah.
I'm in a different, island. I'm not even landing even close to my trajectory. So think about that in our day-to-day life. Just
Yeah.
1 degree. One degree off of my thinking, 1 degree off in adapting my truth. 1 degree off in thinking, well, that isn't harmful, in that protection, my ego protecting me there. I'm going to hide a little bit more in that shadow, because you know what? If I tell my truth, what would they think of me? If they knew that my legs were so damaged, what would they think about me? Where can I hide? And we hide everywhere. If we're not showing up, I mean, we don't have to put a megaphone on our truth out into the world, but we do have to show up and take ownership. And we do have to show up and be willing to be transparent. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to do that. And I see this every day, and I know you do too. And people trying to create businesses with this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Let's wipe all that off and pull it back. And I think I just told her, I've spoken to Mastermind, and she showed up about something she'd wanted to do for a year. And someone else showed up and didn't believe it. Her most dominant thought was she never believed. Every morning she wakes up, she doesn't believe she could never finish it. And I'm like, well, every cell in your body is listening. So be it. So it is so. And I can guarantee you, if we don't flip that and readapt some alignment and some truth into your life, you're on your deathbed, you're going to wish you would have done, because you just never thought, you just never had the discipline to do it. It was just the story you created somewhere along the way. We don't even need to explore that core one, core fear, but you have to recognize that you've adapted a story that is not serving your life. If that needle is not moving forward, you've got a story that you've created that you're trying to fix, figure out, renegotiate. And I just want to get really clear on that story. If we clear the way, it's uncomfortable. Writing about my life was uncomfortable. Having to go out into the world unedited, even more uncomfortable. Because perfection, I lived behind a veil of perfection. Top this, top that, awards. Look how pretty, look how I would even use it. I just ripped it away and just thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm 60. And if I'm going to do this, it's time. And for everybody, there's a different age and a different circumstance. But I coach someone who's 82 right now. Well, just turned 83, and it's her time. And I mean, she's vibrant and on fire and ready and who's to say when the deadlines are? We get to decide what our truth is. And if you don't assess your truth and you don't look at the lenses, I always love that Viewmaster, where we put the pictures in and we get to click them. We do the same thing in our life. Think of your life as a Viewmaster. What lenses are you putting in front of your life? And is that moving you towards what you want or further away? Mm-hmm. Are you frustrated? Are you making decisions from a place of integrity or a place of safety? A place of not knowing? Do you live in a state of overwhelm and chaos? Is there addiction involved? Are you frightened? All these things matter. When I woke up, my most dominant thought was fear of pain and am I going to get the help I need? Because I'm going to die if I don't get it. And then one day I just tore that up and said, I'm going to die if I continue what they're doing, I'm going to die. And I had no answer. And I think that it's none of our business, Anniston, none of our business to go into the future and say, I need to know the answer to this and this. And before I make a move, I need to know, like you had said, I quit my corporate job. Did you have an answer about where that money was going to come from?
No.
Heck no. What did you do? You trusted the process that you were aligned with your truth.
Yes.
And no matter what happened, you were exactly where you needed to be. Because the universe isn't random and it doesn't sometimes show up and give us randomness and lack of no, it's never random. It's always guided. Everything that shows up is working for me. Every wrecking ball, just before I took off for a month, to walk the Camino and be in Portugal and Spain and do all that, a big, huge tax bill came in. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I wanted to cancel the month. How can I take a month off work? I'm not working. I've done this and I'll be hemorrhaging money. The stories started coming in.
Oh yeah.
And then I said, oh no, I'm going to spend a week with my daughter. I get to see her for the first time pregnant. She's 37 years old. I get to float around the Mediterranean Sea. I stayed so present. I celebrated my growth through this whole trip. Through every step on that Camino that I didn't think I could do because of the scars on my legs and the damage to the muscles, I did. I finished it. I was like a goat on heels. I met myself at levels I didn't know if, when I looked at it, I thought, we're not walking that, are we? And they're like, I just took it day by day, moment by moment. And that's how I achieved. It's never the macro that we take on. We take this on and it's paralyzing. It's the micro. Every day I slow it down. Just like when we hopped on today, I said, hey, I've been in masterminds and clients and I have such an illuminating day. And then I have a massive dental surgery at 2:40. Now, I would have been paralyzed by that a decade ago. I would have never been able to show up. I didn't cry in and, what am I going to do? Maybe looking for some Xanax, which I hated. But it's like, it's just so I could breathe because I would be having panic attacks because I was so terrified. And now I'm like, you know what? I've done this. I've had a full mouth reconstruction because when the infection happened in my legs, those staph, it also happened in my jaw. I had 9 of my teeth pulled. I had a full mouth reconstruction by a brilliant dentist. I didn't talk about that in my book. They're just, how much can you share? But it's like, it just keeps unfolding. But for me, I'm always willing to be transparent because I want people to know that what they see is not always the truth.
Mm-mm. No, I think that it's, your body has been one of your greatest teachers. You've also had teachers in relationships. We're always, no matter what, we are always, even the person that you look at as, oh, they've made it. They're enlightened. They've got all their poop in a scoop, right? Like they've got it all together, which by the way, they're still students too, right? And I think we have to continue to share that. Even yesterday, like you said, yesterday was kind of a wonky day. It was a wonky day. I woke up, had all kinds of emotion. So I sat down. I do emotion code clearing. I did that on myself. I did a breathwork meditation. I did some journaling and really unpacking. And that morning, my anxiety was my teacher. Yeah. But I was able to release it because I didn't resist it. I was like, oof, it's got a message.
I love the fact you said that. I let anxiety be my teacher.
Yes, it had a message for me. It had something important to tell me. Our bodies always have something important to tell us. And as much as we don't enjoy feeling the pain also has a purpose, right? And the pain also has a message. And so I love that you shared so much of your journey with your health, right? And it was your teacher, and it has definitely shaped who you are and a lot of the teachings that you have. Another one of the chapters that, I mean, I loved every one of them, but I made like certain notes on a couple of them that really stood out to me from where I am and where I know a lot of the listeners are that listen to this podcast. And one of them was with chapter 10, the law of relativity. And you speak into everything being connected, right? And us and in ways that we can't see or even potentially fathom. And what really came forward for me, and something I admire about you, Dana, is you express your spiritual gifts, right? No one can really put Dana Grant in a box. Like, you can't just say this is what she is, because we love to label things, right? We love to label, oh, she's this religion and then she's this, and I don't think anyone could put you in. And I've definitely accepted the fact that I don't fit into a box, even though as hard as I tried to figure out and find a box that could label who I am, that encompasses all of my beliefs.
Yeah.
You know? So tell us about, like, I'm curious from your perspective on our spiritual gifts, right? And how we can start leaning into them more in a way that serves us and serves our growth.
I think that our body requires a different batch of chemicals that come from our brain, and that comes from meditation and our practices. So it's never one and done. I think that we have to set things up, like you said. Anxiety was my teacher, but I did breath work. I journaled. We have to adapt a practice that supports what it is we can consistently do. Like when I wake up in the morning, and I know we're all connected, there's no upmanship. We are all on this playing field. We are all here to support each other. And this is why when I am called to support, my belief system is this, that some people might be further along in perhaps their spirituality or their growth or their celebrityism, whatever that is. But I look at it as we are all connected and we're all here in service. And anyone that shows up, and it's amazing when you ask, they will show up and you will connect. And I think that if we're consistent, that's seen, but it starts with our integrity, with being consistent with ourselves. Then we can be consistent in the world. And then we attract like-mindedness. But we are all connected. Make no mistake. The law of relativity is we are not sole and separate from anything. Source is source, and synchronicities and things will show up in our life, and we'll be like, isn't that interesting? It's more than interesting. You've got signs and signals everywhere. And the more you want to pay attention to them, the more guided and connected you are. There'll be times that you might say, Dana, I am in the midst of seeing 777s right now, and I don't know what's going on. And maybe it's a random just conversation about numbers. And then all of a sudden I start looking at license plates and 777, and then I'm like, boom, I get a download, and I send you a message like, oh my gosh, here's a picture, here's this, and this is what came in. And it's all connected. I think it's our job, our responsibility to stay connected, to stay sharing, to put ourselves in that uncomfortable field of not putting us in a box. It's always difficult when people say, well, tell us who you are and what you do. Well, where do I start with that? It's like, was born this, done that, did this, that was a train wreck, then spent this, then I finally, and then it's kind of like being born knowing more. Do I know more than anyone else? Can they know more? I think people can. Is it a spiritual gift? I don't know. I thought it was kind of spiritual warfare for a lot of years, trying to be the best Christian I could be, and being so terrified. I was so frightened, and that fear was palpable. I don't want to know this. And obviously, if I do, I can't stay connected to God. So my belief system was I cannot be connected to anything but one source, and it has to look like this, and it has to look like that, and anything else is esoteric or any other name they branded me with. And I finally, I think in accepting who we are and our belief systems and working through that, I think there's nothing more powerful than our truth. Not denying who I am and what I am has blown open doors this year that would never have been open to me if I kept saying, I'm an intuitive coach. Nope, I'm a spiritual mentor. I'm a life expander. I'm going to blow your mind if you work one-on-one, because that connection with us, you're here for a reason. And I take that very seriously. And there's never, and I think that's our responsibility. When we connect with people, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to show up. If I say, how can I support you? My responsibility is following through.
Yeah.
So much of it, we see that out there, and women supporting women. And I've been disappointed over and over again and heard stories. And I don't judge, but there is a sadness around it that
Yeah.
if you truly could drop in and support women, what would that look like? And I thought, that's not my job to teach them. It's my job to stay showing up, doing this, and hopefully they learn by that there's so much expansion. There is not, the universe is limitless. It's abundant. It is so abundant that it's hard to keep up sometimes. It's like, can I hold space for all that abundance? And I think that when we do, we call in other women that are able to support and see. And then they're teaching other women how to support and see and how to connect. And I think this is where we're going. Like I said, last year, the trigger word was, and I call it the hot word, was trauma. And then this year it's authenticity. And next year it will be connection on a level of seeing and knowing that there won't be any separate, soul and separate. Soul and separate from what? Source, God, people. What makes you so different? We're all individuals. We all have a different thumbprint and we own our individuality, but it's all interconnected and we all support and we get to decide what that looks like in our life.
I 100% agree with everything that you just said. Actually, I was thinking about, there's this visualization I recorded for myself and I share with my clients, but where every morning I sit down and I just drop in and I will imagine from my heart are these golden threads, like all going out in all different directions, and that they're connecting with those that I'm contracted to serve, that we agreed, right? And some place at some time that I was going to show up and I was going to speak my truth and they were going to feel the call. They were going to feel my energy.
Soul alignment, soul
And
connection.
and they were going to come walk with me, and then they were going to turn around and they were going to have their own people and that, for me, that one singular belief that I have formed, that we are all so connected to who we are meant to serve. Competition is just a giant freaking waste of time. Number one, no one can take the client. Your clients, Dana, that are meant for you, right? Yeah. Because you have medicine that only your medicine is going to help them at this stage in their life.
At this stage. And then I pass them on to someone who can illuminate at another level. Like, hey, have you thought of this?
Yes.
This book. I never limit. I share it all.
You have to. And there's no need not to, right? When you understand the laws of the universe, when you understand our place and our connection, and that being open-hearted and being generous and being willing to see other people's growth and it not be a detraction from your own, or I don't know. I agree. I think next year, and I think where we're moving into is we're moving into really mastering, but that's going to require releasing some of those wounds. Right?
There it is. And sacrificing some people that, we talked about earlier before we started taping, walking the barn pole of who we are and what we do and how we connect, and knowing that other people may not be aligned, but we keep it because it's popular. I don't want to create any friction. We have to be willing to release, and otherwise, we're negotiating. We're still negotiating. It may look different, but we're negotiating. We can use diplomacy. We don't have to cut everybody off if they don't think the way we think. But aligning in areas that don't align, the universe will just come in and clean the slate for you, or you can do it yourself and it'll move twice as fast.
I actually think I was just thinking about, I think the focus is less on necessarily, I don't need people to agree with me or to even believe the same thing as me. However, it's the energy, right? It's do they create the space and did they honor my truth, my ability to have my own truth, while
is there space there for me? Yeah.
Right. Them holding it on, because I don't know about you, but I do know this about you, because you are very open, and I'm sure your friend group, your chosen sisters and those that you have in your life are eclectic like you and are open and curious, but you probably also have some people who don't necessarily agree with everything, but yet they give you so much energy, right? Being in their presence uplifts you. The
Yeah.
truth, I think that there's always been this misconception, like you need to surround yourself with people who agree with, like, and make it comfortable for you because your beliefs aren't challenged. And I disagree.
Yeah.
I actually think put yourself in a room with a bunch of people who believe a lot of different things than you and watch how fast you grow and evolve and back into your truth, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we've seen that in action in every room we go into. It's like if you're going to show up and share your truth, it's expansive, it's connected, and it's transformational, especially for the ones that might be hiding behind and not willing to share totally theirs. You've just given them permission, and I hear it over and over again. Wow, I'm showing up differently. I'm next time I'm talking about something different, I'm gonna show up and do it differently. And I'm like, if that can shift just by us showing up and saying, hey, I know this to be true. And if I show up in my integrity and my soul's mission is this, and this is what I'm here to do. And it's always shifting all these new levels. We're never one and like I said, we're never one and done. Like I've arrived. This is where I am. It's like, oh, I knew that to be true last month. Now it's moving even faster. It's like, that was great. And it's always like that came in to disrupt and my first question is, what do I need to know? And I think if we can move through that quickly, it shows enormous growth. It's how long we're willing to stay in that stuck struggle mode. I think we're never stuck. Situations are, we never, but in the struggle mode of trying to figure it out and identify that we might be negotiating and struggling with an old story or a place that we need to sacrifice and release, and that maybe we've outgrown that space. We can still love everything about them, but maybe that isn't a place for us anymore.
Yeah.
But if we don't give that up and we keep showing up and wanting that we want to fit in, we want to fit in, we want to fit in, or there is a no growth policy. Let's just stamp it, a no growth policy, because there's no movement there. Yeah. And you're connected and you are attached to some part of your story there that needs to be accepted. And what would it feel like if you release that, not knowing where it is that you're going?
Oof. And that has been such a big part of my own journey, is this journey of owning my truth, of owning. I don't know if you're into astrology. I'm guessing you are. I don't know if you know anything about astrology, but
a lot.
I'm an Aquarius moon. So I've always been this thinker, right? This why, questioning everything and and these big ideas that were outside of the norm. But then I was like, ooh, but these aren't okay. And so it was really about owning that. And this year there's been such a big shift and a lot of forward movement and a lot of magnetism and a lot of synchronicities, I think, because I no longer am negotiating my truth. Like, because I'm like, you know what? I accept me. And once you realize, like, I think all along, that's the only time you will ever feel like you belong or that you are accepted is when you finally accept you. You have been the approval and validation you've been looking for all along. We think it's the other people. We think. Yeah. But no, it's you.
Yeah. Oh, it's so powerful. And I have an incredible astrologer, and I will give you her name and maybe you can share it. I had her on my podcast show. Yeah. And it was her marketing team or her PR team. And I saw her book and what she said, and she's phenomenal. She's so phenomenal. And I've given her name. She did a reading for me as a gift. It blew my mind. The 2 hours that she mapped out where Saturn came in to disrupt and the truth of that. But, I don't read the stars. She certainly is a master at it. I had no idea. But there was a reason why she showed up. I called her in and I will pass on and her information to you and you can decide whether you share it or not. But the thing of it is, when we take ownership and accept, we call in all different kinds of modalities and we try them out. And we're like, they're all a piece. It's like I don't just believe in that, but it has its truth. And this has its truth. And it becomes this piece of the puzzle that all fits. And it's like, because of that, I understand the way I show up here. Being a Libra, I know my degree and how I show up with injustice is injustice and why I feel the way I do. And the Scorpio moon, how passionate I am. And the Virgo, why I'm so driven. And I mean, it's the perfect storm to just be self-motivated and passionate and a lot of energy. It's like, I was born under this sign to do this. And we're
Yeah.
all born under a certain energy. And when we understand it a little bit more, there's an adaption and an understanding and aha moments like, oh, I see. I mean, I said, why are all those numbers in that one house there? I said, what is that over there? It's numbers are piled up. And she says, we'll get to that. And I'm like, but I want to know now because I'm terribly impatient. I always have.
Yeah.
She finally got to that and she goes, that's your love for you're so connected to source. She goes, are you a psych? I mean, everything she said. I'm like, don't I?
But are you eighth? Is it a lot of eighth house stuff?
Yeah. And I'm a master number 11, but it's like, it's piled up and I'm born on the 8th and I'm like, what is all that?
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm born on the 8th. I have like 5 planets in the 8th house. Sister, I knew it. I knew it.
You knew it. And look at our books. I knew it from day one. But she said it's your love for one-on-one connections and what my biggest resistance, and I never gave myself permission to love my one-on-one clients. I kept thinking, hold space for more. You're never going to. And now because I gave myself permission to do that, everything shifted.
Yeah.
Everything else illuminated and worked and was in flow. But as long as I struggled and said, that's wrong, you should be doing it differently because a business coach somewhere along the way said, you're never going to be a billionaire doing that. And I'm like, ooh, how can I just keep raising my prices? And then I'm limiting. There was a story I created.
Yeah.
But when I had that reading, see, it was a piece of it was like, oh, your love for one-on-one, you're designed this way. How could you not? And I'm like, and connection, I'm like, there it is. There it is.
Sometimes we ask questions, and we're like, we're asking questions, whether out loud or silently. And the answer is coming. But when we judge the form, the answer is coming in. And that's where I think I look at, I mean, my listeners know I am a master numerologist. I've studied it and I love astrology. I love human design and they all have a place. And for me, they've just reflected back aspects of me that maybe I just needed to see from a different angle. And because of that, now it's almost like I understand myself at such a deep level, not because I read something in a book, right? But because of the multitude of experiences that I've had, including what I've learned with numerology, including what I've seen reflected back to me in human design. And it's all things that I kind of knew. I just hadn't been able to articulate. And so that's where I think.
And now it supported you. And now it's like, boom, the universe just is coming and saying, let me support you here now. Don't question that. Let's let that work for you. And we say it all the time. Universe is working for us, not against us. But look at how many areas of our life is working against us when we question and judge and struggle with.
Yeah.
It's not working for us.
No.
So every bit of, like you said, all those modalities, all that information is working for us to give us our higher version of ourselves so we can see clearly on what our mission here is to do. Because we all have a soul's mission, I believe. We all have a soul's mission on what we're here to do. Finding that means alignment and truth.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful. So tell me about your adventures on the Camino. Is it Camino del Rey? How do you say that? Is it the
Camino de Santiago. So there's so many different paths. Okay. I just finished, I flew into Portugal, and I started there and I walked the coastal path, which I thought would all be flat, an easier route. That's what I thought. It was slow the first couple of days, and then I was like a goat. I was mountaineering and through the rain and the mud. But I started off wearing my little Gucci hats and scarves and thinking, this is so easy. And then it got a little bit more challenging, just like life sometimes when we, But I started in Portugal and I walked and I ended in Santiago, Spain. And along the way there's villagers and I walked through grapes being harvested and I have such a love for nature and the women I walked with, the conversations, I didn't even have to speak the language.
Were you by yourself or did you go with a group?
No, I was with 12 women. 10 or 12.
Okay.
I should know that number. But yeah, no, Susan Hyatt is an amazing human who does incredible retreats. So it was about a year ago. I was my 60th birthday, I was in Chicago and I'm doing VIP one-on-ones for my birthday and then she's got an event there and said, hey, so I zipped there, I spoke there and she goes, hey, I'm walking the Camino. And I'm like, you are? And she was just going somewhere else. And I said, I can't make that, but I will. I didn't know anything about this pilgrimage, what people walk, how big it is, how small it is, that people I mean, this is like their bucket list stuff. And I'm like, number one, I'm just going to plug this. Don't put your dreams in a bucket ever. No buckets. Don't put your dreams in a bucket.
Right.
I just chose to do it. And I stayed in castles. And I chose to do it a little differently than most people, but it was a phenomenal experience. I met people, but along the way, I unpacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I unpacked a lot. Every step I took was a release. And before I left, I did some big releasing, like 60% of my clothes in my house. I had my housekeeper come in. I said, I ordered racks. I said, this is all going. She goes, really? And I used every one of my sheets in the house, tying it up and moving it out. So when I came home, I had already released a lot, not even knowing why would I take that on in the midst of getting ready to leave, doing all the things, but I was guided to do it. And I don't question the guidance. I do it. And so every step was a release. Every step was, I mean, I could talk about the nature and the people and how beautiful that was, but it was a spiritual pilgrimage, not just of ending, where St. Peter was buried and how beautiful the cathedral is and all the cathedrals and all the moments of such beauty and understanding. It was every step I took changed who I was. Mm. I allowed it to transform me. And every day I would say, please release what doesn't serve me. Every day my pack got lighter, what I chose to carry, my safety. I can't release this, can't release and here I had a beautiful van that would show up and give snacks. I could leave things on the van, but I kept everything with me because what would happen if it got stolen? And then, of course, when I get to Spain and Barcelona, when it ends, I fly to Barcelona. And then I took my daughter to Mallorca, and where we floated on a boat for the day and on Ryanair. And I did have everything stolen. I had all my jewelry stolen, my beautiful clothes stolen. I've never been so violated and robbed. Every milestone of earrings I had made for first six figures, first million, building this, doing that, everything meant something. Yeah. They took it all. And the universe isn't random. I didn't say I want to release just this and not release that. I said, I want to release it all. Mm-hmm. And it comes in. And I thought, I'm still grieving some pieces, and nor did I want to lose them. But we have to be really specific when we ask for things. Yeah. It doesn't mean I asked to be robbed, but I did say before I left, I'm releasing my jewelry, my clothes, this weight, the furniture. I'm carrying way too much, and it has to go. So every step I was releasing, and then the first thing that I do when it's over is boom, all the things I've really invested in. Right. Maybe 30,000 got stolen. I thought, is it covered? Do I have insurance? I mean, I don't even know yet if it's doable to do any of that. Certainly not replaceable. The ashes of my dog, a solid gold little, Leon, my poodle, and all of that gone. And what do I make that mean? If everything is perfect, and I say to my clients, what's perfect about this? If what's perfect about this, and if I can't find that, then I'm connected to the struggle and the release of something on this earth that is my identity, and I'm hiding behind it. And it was powerful for me to think, oh, wow, there's an image. Yeah. That you were having to release. And I just had a photo shoot without all my beautiful stuff and all my beautiful jewelry and all the things I wanted. And I thought, well, let's just do it with what we, start where, and I tell people all the time, start where you are, use what you have. And that changes all the time. Yeah. And how do we flow through and release and accept? Release and accept. Because if we're using the universal law of sacrifice, then we know that we're first cause, that we have to come first. And there's cause and effect on everything we do. I set this in motion. All that happened to support me. I can't pick and choose what's right and wrong. You're wrong, I'm right. You're right, I'm wrong. No, it's all supporting me. It's what I can do to move through it and how quickly I move through it. Yeah. Not setting up house there and mourning forever and whining about all my stuff I lost. And then the stories we create out of that. I'm never going to be able to replace this. Oh my gosh, that was hand me. Oh my God, the money. Do you see what we do this with everything in life? I've had enough losses in this life, foreclosures, relationships, almost losing my legs, losing an enormous amount of teeth. I've had enough losses to know what it looks like and what it feels like to recover and live in safety and peace, and what it feels like on the other side of that terror barrier. And I'm not gonna ever, I don't ever want to go back. I wouldn't change youth or whatever that looks like to go back in that struggle, because this peace is so abundant. Peace is abundant. It's connected to so much depth.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking about money, which everybody wants, peace, I say that's the number one authority. Where there's peace, there's expansion, there's so much vision there. And we're
Yeah.
able to connect to our highest authority in that peace. Because when we're muddled and confused and struggling, we're not in that highest form of peace. But if I'm there, I'm my own authority, and money's going to follow one thing: authority. So does it follow peace? Absolutely. Does it follow expansion? Absolutely. If I'm over here struggling with all and negotiating with the airlines and it's going to trickle in. It's never going to bring abundance. So how can I release that and release it quickly? And where are my attachments? Doesn't mean I'm not going to be sad about some things they took. Just means it isn't my identity. It isn't who I am. And I have to release it and even take it a step further, visualize it, them wearing those, and maybe they sell them and somebody is, celebrating and wearing them, never knowing where they came from. And the energy attached to them is powerful.
Yeah. The energy attached is powerful. But something, as you were talking, what dropped into my head was, well, where she's going, she can't take them. Because vibrationally and energetically, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you, Rudy and I have this running joke when, like, a phone will go missing all of a sudden, or a laptop will just break down. And we'll say, well, guess it's no longer in energetic alignment with our frequency. We've just got an upgrade. You know what I mean? And so, or something will just get, stolen or whatever, is like, okay, it couldn't be enough.
Your willingness to adjust quickly. You just said, oh, wait a minute, that's not in alignment with where we're going. Boom, universe hears it. And
which means there will be more. There will be more, right?
Yeah, we're open for more abundance.
And the jewelry that comes to you now will be reflective of your frequency now, right? And so sometimes I don't know. I could talk about this for a long time.
Oh no, where you are is right on course, because I am in the midst of it right now, of alignment and the frequency. And if everything is energy and all our universal laws are under energetic connections, the number one thing with energy is frequency.
Yes.
What are we holding on to? I mean, we know that every emotion has a frequency: grief, joy, love, enlightenment, gratitude. This is why we focus on gratitude, because number one, it's expansive, but you can't struggle and be gratitude at the same time. And gratitude is one of the highest vibrational things you can do to alter and shift your state of being.
Yes.
And it's so simple. And everyone's like, oh, that's too simple.
I know, right? It's like, okay.
Maybe simple if you're saying, I'm grateful for the green grass in my yard. Drop in and really start letting that sink in on what it is you're connected to. But we got to connect to be grateful too. I think it's a process.
Oh, I just love you so much. I could literally talk to you for hours. I know. You and I, you give us some coffee or some good tea, and we could probably just go at it for a good couple of hours and not stop. Well, before we close out today's episode, what is one thing, if you had to pick like one main message from your beautiful book, or from maybe what you've uncovered or remembered about yourself over the last couple of months, what would you want to share? What's coming forward for you?
Wow. Well, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go with what dropped in immediately. Is that love and compassion are expansive. That, is something. So you asked that, and that's what dropped in. It would be, what would love do? What would compassion do? Every move I make has to lead with that. Not sometimes, but always. And sometimes it's connected to disappointment and to people disappointing me. And that's okay, because the more I'm willing to release that, it doesn't mean they won't come back around, but it means that right now, this is where I need to stay. And I think that to stay in my integrity means it can be lonely sometimes. It can be lonely taking and accepting who I am and knowing that there is no label or box, just like you, that I can fit into. I'm a multitude of things, and it's what makes me unique, and that thumbprint and what I do. And I don't know if I can fully articulate that because I don't want to be branded mystic or, or any of the things. But if you can hold space for transformational and change and growth, and if you want it, man, I'm your huckleberry. I'll align and I will support. And money's, I'm never looking at that. I'm looking, all that will take care of itself.
Yeah.
But I just believe in supporting. And if women are going to show up, I'm going to show up too. And you said that. I'm going to look down. I'm going to read you this because this is like blaring at me right now energetically. And it's by Neil Dahl Walsh that in 2007, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know Joe Dispenza, didn't know any of that. But I show up as this little first-time speaker, and I've got a powerhouse of alignment. I have got no idea what room I'm in. But we sit and have a conversation, and I realize what he's published and who he is. And he said this, I'll tell you this, Dana, and I printed this out today because I wrote it in my journal. I'll tell you this, Dana. Compassion never ends. Love never stops. Patience never runs out in God's world. Only in the world of man is goodness limited. In my world, goodness is endless. So be endlessly good. Be endlessly connected to your integrity and what you know to be true and right. I think that we could change the world. We could change the world of entrepreneurship, of how people show up and how they connect, how they visualize competition, social media, all of that. What can I do to support? We say that to be of service, but is there goodness there? Is there good?
Yeah.
Are you connected to what you can get out of it? Or are you connected to just
Doing it.
goodness? And there's something so simple about that. And I like to keep it simple. And if that makes me not smart enough or whatever it is, people think I needed to articulate it differently. I'm just like, just goodness, just simplicity. Just stop making it so complicated.
Yeah.
And with that, there's enormous expansion. And that is what we're all desiring on this universal playing field of abundance. You're never going to get over to that universal of abundance without making it clear and alignment with yourself.
Beautifully said. Beautifully, beautifully said. Simple, powerful, but a truth that will change your life. And I am so excited for all of you listening to order Dana's amazing book, The Truth Within the Lie. It will change your life. It's going to open you up. It's going to make you question. It's going to help you to see clearly. I mean, all the things. So I'm going to link it in the show notes. We'll also link where you can find Dana, where she likes to hang out, her website, her social media, all the things. Make sure to follow this woman. And her podcast is incredible. You have the most incredible guests on. So you are a wealth of information. You are such a gift to the world, Dana Grant. So thank you so much for blessing us with your time, your energy, and your heart today. And for those of you that are have tuned in for this episode, I see you, I love you, and I will check you on the next episode.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for having me. And I'm going to leave them with this. What if love was just the antidote to it all?
Yeah.
What if love was the antidote to everything that they're listening today and connected to you? Because you're calling in a frequency, and maybe they should be left with that. Anyway, thank you for having me. I adore you.
I adore you too.
Thank you.